Hi, this is Lindsay Gilson, and this is my triangulated analysis for California Treasures kindergarten curriculum with a focus on phonics, and this is for Read 5360 and Dr. Keisler. A brief overview of my curriculum. California Treasures is a McMillan-McGraw-Hill curriculum. It is made up of 10 3-week-long themed units. You do have the option of adding a 4th week if you deem it necessary in order to go back and do some intervention for your students. It does provide a 4th week option. It also comes with a 2.5 to 3 week Smart Start unit that is a brief introduction of all of the alphabet and just kind of a brief overview of some of the skill sets that students will be doing throughout the year. That does make this unit, if you take into account the Smart Start weeks and then the optional 4th weeks, it turns it into about a 47-week curriculum, which, as we know, we don't have 47 school weeks in the year. So we really modify that down to the 3-week units to make sure that we're getting through everything by the end of the year. This program is written for a full-day kindergarten. It does have suggestions of how to modify it for a half-day program, but it still is written in the guise of a full-day kindergarten program. This curriculum was also written prior to the Common Core state standards being released. My district purchased this curriculum, I believe, I want to say 2 years before the Common Core standards were introduced. Because of that, we were able to get the snap-in guides from the publisher, which also came with a booklet. The snap-in guides basically are a laminated piece of paper that snaps into our TEs and gives you a very brief overview of what within the curriculum actually meets the Common Core standards and some suggestions on how to make sure that you're meeting the Common Core standards now. And the booklet has deeper level thinking questions that correlate with our read alouds and our big books throughout the series. For this analysis, I did focus on unit number 7, which is our weather unit, and we'll move on. So for our learning theories, there were a few learning theories that worked with the idea of phonics within this curriculum. The first one that I chose was associationism. Associationism by Steinberg basically explains that events or ideas become associated with one another in the mind and result in a form of learning. So to correlate this to the phonics units, within phonics, within this unit particularly, I was introducing the letter E. And when I introduced that new letter, what I end up doing is I first show the students the letter. We have some letter cards and we hold those up and it shows what it looks like. Then we associate it with the sound. After associating it with the sound, we also show them the picture card, which allows students to associate the letter name, sound, and symbol with a picture. So on my wall, I have the entire alphabet with our picture sound cards up displayed all year long for students. So as in this week, when I was introducing the letter E, students learned to associate that with the picture of the egg. So now when we're going through a lesson and we're talking about those letter sounds, if they forget, I can give them that associative picture. I could say like egg, and then they go, oh, E, egg. So that's a form of associationism within the phonics kindergarten curriculum. Another learning theory that I found within my curriculum was behaviorism. We know that behaviorism is really breaking down those complex tasks into simpler tasks and in a sequence. This is exactly what phonics is. We really take, especially in kindergarten, we really take everything and we break it down into pieces. And so through that behaviorism, we also direct instruction. And direct instruction is a theory which falls into the behaviorism spectrums. And is really putting a child, helping them focus on a very specific task, and as they master that task. So in phonics, we will work on the letter sound. We work on the letter sound for like a day, and then we work on incorporating that sound in with a picture, and then we take those picture cards of the different words that start with that letter, and we use those in helping us distinguish a sentence and then finding that word. Then we take those letter sounds and we build them into words. And so it really is focusing just a little piece of the phonetic ideas in a very short, concise lesson. Another theory that is in this curriculum would be the law of readiness. And as Thorndike stated, that it is the law of readiness is when learning is facilitated when it's done with when it precedes those tasks that are harder. So when easier tasks are done first, then the more difficult tasks are easier for students to accomplish later on because they already have those building foundational skills. This curriculum does go along with those lines, and especially since we're in kindergarten, there is very basic tasks that students are doing. All right, best practices. Phonics really is the ability to correctly associate letters with their corresponding sounds. So I thought it was really interesting that within the best practices book, I had the 5th edition of our book, there was this quote, and it said, "While it is agreed that phonics is important, there has been no research proving that one method is better than another. Although it has been determined that explicit and systematic phonics is better than non-systematic or no phonics, the Common Core State Standards do not specify how phonics is to be taught. Rather, they specify that children should know and apply grade-level phonics and word analysis skills in decoding words. So, for example, kindergartners are expected to know the most frequent sound for each of the consonants and the long and short sounds for the 5 vowels." Okay, so with that in mind, the best practices that I found in the 5th edition were the gradual release of responsibility model. So within this model, the idea is that first, the responsibility is on me as the teacher, and it's my responsibility to model for my students. And so this is very much what our curriculum does. I say the name, I write the letter, I show them, they repeat after me. By the end of the week, and especially in the 3rd week of the unit, which is our review week, students really are kind of expected to be masters of those sounds and those letters and be able to do it with, or the activities that we're doing aren't as teacher-based, they're more student-based by the end of the week. Another best practice was sorting and picture cards and small items and having students identify those initial, medial, and final letter sounds. Within our curriculum, we do that. I have a set of picture cards that came with our unit or with our curriculum that go for letter sounds. And so I'm able, as in this unit we were learning about the letter E, I'm able to go through and pull out all the E cards and have pictures of it, like an elephant and an egg, an eggplant. I think there's an Eskimo in there. It's just a lot of pictures, and so the students are able to sort those. So throughout the year, as we go on, we're able to have students do multiple letters and divide those pictures up and finding those letter sounds that they start with, or looking for a letter in the middle or the final sound, and use those in those ways. The 3rd best practice that I found that was within my curriculum for phonics was making words. Now, in kindergarten, this is very simplistic and very basic, but we start using CVC words, which is a consonant, vowel, consonant building of words. And students use those letter sounds. We do a lot of blending and segmentation, incorporating that in with the visuals of the letters, where they're actually manipulating the letter cards, or they're using magnetic letters and they're building those words. So it is making words, but it is very simplistic in beginning of that making words. The final best practice that I found for my curriculum really was I called it assessments. The book said that it was to determine if struggling students had a visual deficit, an auditory deficit, or both, which allows me as a teacher to intervene appropriately. So what my curriculum does is every Friday we have a kind of a dictation where you can say the word out to the students, and then they even read something back. So it kind of allows me to be able to figure out, okay, is it that they don't understand the visual part of it? Are they not getting the auditory part of it? Is it a mixture of both? And what do I need to do in order to help my students understand those letters and letter sounds? All right. As I stated earlier, kindergarten phonics standards, my curriculum was written prior to the Common Core standards, so I decided to analyze them in the respects that even though I have those snap-in guides, that the curriculum truly was written according to the 1997 ELA standards and how they now can correlate over to the California Common Core standards. So initially, under the 1997 California ELA standards, there were three main phonics standards, 1.14, 1.15, and 1.16. The first one, 1.14, was to match all consonants and short vowel sounds with the appropriate letters. So when you go and you look at the new California Common Core State Standards, you see that it is now the responsibility of a kindergartner to be able to know and apply all the grade level phonics and word analysis skills in decoding words, and it's now broken down into 4 subsections. So this standard from the ELA standards is now more associated with A and B of the new standards. So demonstrating a basic knowledge of one-to-one letter sound correspondence by producing the primary or many of the most frequent sounds for each consonant, and being able to associate the long and short sounds for the common spellings of the 5 major vowels. So the difference in that is that the curriculum was created with the mind of all the consonants with their main sound and the short sounds of the vowels. The new standard is now that they know the most frequent sound for those letters. So like when I teach the letter C, I'm only teaching the K sound with this curriculum, but we know that C can also make this sound. That's not something that my curriculum has in it as of being written, but that is something that would be a most frequent sound for the letter C, so I would need to include that in my instruction to my students. My curriculum has absolutely nothing when it comes to the long vowel sounds, which means that I am having to go to my first grade colleagues and asking them for some of their supplies because that was a first grade standard. When we look at 1.15, that's reading simplistic one-syllable and high-frequency words. Again, we see that in section C, that is still there. One-syllable words are no longer kind of a part of it, but we still use them, and it's still that is building, and it kind of correlates in with D. Understanding that letters of words change, and so do their sounds, we see that it still is in letter D. Overall, this is a really good program. It does have some flaws with not having the long vowel sounds, and it doesn't really go through all the letters. It's really on a weekly basis, so you really have to make sure that as a teacher, you're going back in and you are spiraling through all the letters and really mixing them in and having students re-go over them. And that is the end of my analysis. So again, California Treasures is a great program. Does need a little bit of supplementation, but it is a good program. Thank you.